All right, so here we are, the homeward stretch, the final step of our action framework. We have got them to trust us, or so we've given them a reason to care. They're on the hook. We have got them to trust us about that very thing. We've now armed them with the very information, created that legacy list of content with them that they're going to take away from them. But now we get to the most important step. You see, a presentation's job is very simple. It is to deliver a message to achieve a result. And that result is never delivered by you. That result is delivered by your listener, right? You are telling them something so that they will do, think, or feel something. And that's where we're trying to get them towards. We're trying to get them to the point where they will write something favorable about your financial results in the press, where they will sign up to receive your newsletter, where they will want to do business with you. And that's what we want to cover in this last little bit. Tell them what they need to do. Look, I actually did a TED Talk, a TEDx talk a few years ago. And in it, I spoke about a catastrophe. It's called a catastrophe of inaction, because I think we consume so much information, but we do not turn that information into action. And I think it's problematic. I think we're consuming far too many knowledge calories, but we're not turning those knowledge calories into the action to burn them. And in fact, I'll put a link to the talk up here. I think it's quite cool, and you should definitely give it a watch. But in it, I talk about a quote by a guy who once came into my office, sauntered into my office. He's a big booming man. His name is Neil Milan. And we're talking about something. And I was talking about all this information I learned. And he turned around and he said, Richard, if action followed knowledge, we'd all have six packs. Ha 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 ha. Right? Neil Milan, if action followed knowledge, we'd all have six packs. Truer words were never spoken. We consume so much information, but we've started thinking about presentations and talks as entertainment. Because why so many TED Talks are, we sit and we watch them and then we finish, and we watch a documentary where we don't change our behavior. We need to change our behavior. But you know how you do that is you tell the audience what they need to do next. There was a study done years ago. Oh, sorry, not a study. There was a case years ago in which this lady was running through the streets and she was getting chased by this man and she was getting stabbed, but she was shouting to everybody for help, 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 help. And people were looking out the window and they saw people, and like 20, 30 people were looking out the window watching her. And she was saying, hey, somebody please help me. Somebody please help me. And people were looking on. This guy dragged her away. She escaped, dragged her away. She escaped, dragged her away. She escaped, and then killed her in front of these horrified onlookers. And nobody called the police. And a lot of discussion has been gone into to do with these things. Why would that happen? The reason is that there was a lack of specificity. We didn't realize she was talking to us. The action, help, help, felt like a general cry as opposed to an action. It turns out, had she looked up at the window and said, you in the blue jersey, call the police, that person would immediately have said, who, me? And run away and called the police, because she was called to action. Now, this is what we need to do to our audience. We assume if we give them the information, they will take an action, but that's not what happens. Your audience won't just randomly take action. So the question really is, well, the first point is that you have to ask them. You're got to know upfront, and when you're preparing a presentation, this is what you start with. Before you start creating any of your content, what do I want my audience to do when this thing is finished? And then you work backwards. What do they need to know about this? And then you kind of skip a step and you go, well, why should they care? And then finally, okay, well, why should they trust me? That's how I prepare a presentation. I work backwards from this very, very point, tell them what they need to do. Now, the biggest mistake that people make here, the number one most critical mistake, is they ask for too much. Guys, this is not the time to propose marriage, right? This is not what you're trying to get them to do. What you want them to do is to take the smallest single step in the correct direction. You want them to move towards the phone, right? They don't have to run downstairs and attack, that person. They don't have to sign your quote. They don't have to, make the deal. They don't have to decide on everything today. They just have to do the smallest single step you can get them to do to get them into motion in the direction of where you ultimately need them to be. The smaller the step you can give them that will set the wheels in motion, the more you win. When I sometimes speak to audiences about attention seeking, it's one of my talks, and I say to them, there's only one little thing I want you to do. I want everybody to set an alarm for tomorrow morning. And I want in that alarm clock, I want you to put the one little thing, this, and to say, what is one thing I could have done better? I want you to add to your to-do better list. And I say, please take out your phones now and do that. Now, I want them to get onto a journey of living intentionally over the next, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. But I do that by starting them to create some intention around their thinking from the next day going forward. And that's what I'm trying to get them to do. But how do we build towards that? Well, first of all, we've got to recap some of the information we've done. So this is often a good place to start with saying, so let's recap what we've learned here today, right? There are three things that we want to get across. We want to keep their gas tanks full. We want to employ the unexpected. And we want to get their reason to engage. That, ladies and gentlemen, if we put that together, it will give us the information that we need to really, really get them on the hook. So how do we do that? Well, the first thing that I'd suggest you do, if you do want to do something a little, more homework on these kind of things, feel free to download the free sample of my book, Boredom Slayers, or, consider jumping onto, we've got some details on our training on our website. To make this easy for you, if you just go onto this, link here, you'll actually be able to download our free template on how to structure a presentation. And in fact, actually, if you do jump onto this link here and scan this with your phones, you will be able to download our Trello board that we've created to make structuring a presentation across reason to care, reason to believe, need to know, need to do easy for you, as well as a PowerPoint template for creating a 10-minute to win it version of a presentation for online sales. So that could be an action that you could take at the end of this. And that's an action I would like you to take. So pop on, scan this. I'll also put a link down below to where you can get to this very website. But that's what I'd want you to do. And then I'll say, now you've got that information. I don't want you to create a talk. I don't want you to write a whole speech. I don't want you to do everything. I just want you to create a basic framework for a 10-minute presentation. Nothing fancy, nothing too difficult. That's the easiest single step you can do. But there's one last job we have to do here. We have to remind our audience what's at stake. So at this point, I may turn around and say, and why should you do it? Because, ladies and gentlemen, let us not forget that leveling up in terms of this online presenting is critically important. 70 to 80% of your customers want to interact this way. And if you're not leveling up in this regard, then you are going to be left behind. I've given you every tool that you need to make this presentation kick ass. My question to you, ladies and gentlemen, is, are you going to take it? I've been Richard Mulholland, and this is a presentation on Missing Links Action Framework. I like did you see what I did there as well? I was built, and we'll have more content on how to end a presentation. But as I finished and as I called you to action, I started to raise my voice because I want you to understand what's at stake. I want you to feel, I want to light a fire inside you. I want you to feel that this matters. And if I can get you to that point, I can build you up to the point where I can finish my presentation. And then one little thing for me, a little bit of a pet hate, not a big deal, but I can't stand just saying thank you at the end of a presentation. I think it's lazy. Find something better. If I'm doing a presentation on presenting, I might finish with, so go out there and lead loud, and it'll end. And the reason I like that is because instead of it ending with me finishing thank you, which is passive, I'm ending with lead loud, which is active. I'm putting it on them. I kind of feel like it's a very lazy way to say the end. All right, ladies and gentlemen, blah, 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 blah. Thank you. Simon Sinek wrote a piece saying that he thinks it's one of the most important things you could do at the end of a talk. I don't dispute, thanking your audience. You can, by all means, do that in your preparation. I would like to thank you so much today for your attention. I understand how valuable it is. But ladies and gentlemen, if you do not want to waste that attention, then we must start putting in action the very things we learned today, because if action followed knowledge, we would all have six packs. So I challenge you to download these materials that we've given you, to put this, taken 20 minutes in your diary, sit down, set a timer for 20 minutes, and to write an action framework for a 10-minute to win it talk. Because ladies and gentlemen, if you do that, you are well on your way to winning it, to taking advantage of that 70, 80% of people that are out there, to getting these ideas, these thought leadership ideas into your head, into the minds of your audience, and to make a change in the world. So go out there and lead loud. That's how I want to build up. That's how I want to thank my audience. And that's how I want to challenge my audience. And so do you. So I pass this challenge on to you. You've gone through these 5 videos now. You see the structure. The challenge is for you also to sit there and to plot out a talk. If you do not have a presentation coming up, you've just been invited to deliver a TEDx talk. What would that talk be on, and how would you plan this out? If you really, really feel brave, then put your hand up at your business to do a presentation to the team. Find a book you've recently read and structure your sharings on it there. I hope this series has been helpful for you. If it has, I would appreciate a like. I would love a subscribe, and I would go mad batshit crazy for a share. We're trying to grow the momentum of this channel, and with your help, we can do just that. Please ask any questions down below. If you have any questions for us for any future videos, drop them below. And if you have any questions at all around the content, you can contact me over in LinkedIn. Super easy. I'm very easy to find. And I will answer pretty much every single message I get, unless you're trying to sell me something. But even then, if you follow the right framework, I may just do that. So that's it for me. Please, ladies and gentlemen, go out there and lead loud. Peace.